On this episode of Hey Hey Linda Purrs, Linda interviews singer-songwriter Misha Fehrmann. Enjoy.
Hello, Linda Purrs here, and I am in Nashville, Tennessee. And today I have a special guest with me. I have Misha Fehrmann, and he's here in Nashville after an interesting journey to get here. I know you're doing your music now, but you have an interesting journey to tell about all of that and how you ended up here, and we're glad you're here today.
Thank you. Yeah. So Misha, it's obviously a Russian name. So I was adopted when I was 3.
Okay.
Ended up, was adopted, grew up in Maryland for about 15 years. And then I went to Los Angeles right after I graduated high school, tried to do the acting route. Wasn't a big fan of that. And luckily a roommate ended up telling me, like, hey, you're musician. You don't go out, you don't learn lines, you don't do anything. You should probably be playing music. So,
but you listen to them,
Yeah. Well, it was one of those weird things where like just something clicked in my head, and it, when somebody tells you something and you can tell it's kind of like it meant to be, and your life kind of changes. It was just once I said, you know what, that's it. Yeah, you're right. I could feel something for the better changing.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. That was said to you, so you could have that realization there.
Yeah, thank you.
So then, after LA, what did you decide to do when you decided to go on your music trail?
I went back home to Maryland. Ended up studying music for a little bit, and about a semester in community college. I wasn't a big fan in terms of just community college in general. Wasn't really for me, or just college in general.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of was obsessed enough with music that I thought.
But you can learn specific things.
Oh yeah,
college.
And it was great.
Going for the music was a good decision for you.
It was one of those where it was me dipping my toe in the water and then understanding that I loved it enough, and I was willing enough to kind of keep grinding and kind of taking it upon myself to learn the things that I wanted to learn. And it's also just performance for the longest time was always a fear of mine. So the fact that at the end of a semester you'd have to perform what you learned threw me off, and I ran away after the first one and then never came back. But I still came back to knowledge, but was just still afraid to go back to college.
So you hear some people like Christina Aguilera in the crib, she was singing and knew she was going to be a star,
Definitely not that. Definitely not.
Yeah, but there was a journey to discover what it is you wanted to do. Yeah. So then so after Maryland then, what'd you end up doing for your music?
I ended up, I met a really good friend when I was in Maryland, when I was back there. He was a drummer, and we both moved down to Austin, Texas, and lived there for about 6 years. And at that time, I was definitely not the prodigy. And I was just still trying to learn how to write, especially how to sing, just how to play piano. Taught myself. I got myself a $100 upright piano from Goodwill, and luckily every key worked, and just learned
So that was your college education.
That was
and South by Southwest.
Yeah. Well, it was more of just kind of walking around and just being living with a roommate who was in a bunch of bands, in and out of them, helped a lot, because I was able to meet his bandmates and kind of hear how they practiced, how they wrote, and kind of take notes and try to learn as much as I could as a sponge. And kind of, for the most frustrating time for my family was just asking me, what are you doing? And me just knowing in the back of my head, I think something's happening, something's clicking. It's going to take a while. And luckily enough, I was patient enough, and everybody around me has been patient enough to let it happen.
It sounds like, even though they wonder what you're doing, they were supportive of you.
Yeah, to a degree. I'm lucky enough that my family is very realistic in terms of support. So when I was first starting out, my dad would always open the door every now and then and say, why, what animals are you torturing in here? How can we get this sound to stop? But once things kind of flipped a switch, and I don't know, I think it's kind of that 10,000 hour routine where if you just spend so much time just surrounding yourself with people that are better than you and trying to be better, something kind of clicks, and there's nothing you really have control over other than having a discipline about it and an obedience to your work ethic. And luckily, after a few years of trying my hardest, I started getting better feedback and started feeling more confident and comfortable in terms of things that I was writing.
So what got you from Austin to Nashville?
At the tail end of living in Austin, I just started kind of, my life was going off the rails. I've struggled for a while in my life with kind of substance abuse and drinking and drugs. And for the tail end of me living in Austin, I ended up breaking up with my girlfriend at the time, and we both I lived together, so I had to move out, and I was kind of couch surfing at a band member that I knew's house, and also living in my car. And at that point, it was just kind of hitting rock bottom and realizing, okay, if I keep going down this road, I'm not really going to be living much longer. So I had to go back and kind of suck it up. And the best thing was I had a jury notice. This is a year after COVID, and I had to go back for jury duty, and went back. Never had to serve it. Thankfully. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people where it just seemed like always a bit of a
Don't
still
wanna
love
do it.
public servants though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took about a year or 2 years once I was back in Maryland just to kind of get myself in order, get my head on straight, and save up money and kind of feel confident in knowing I can write music and be more straight edge, more sober than I was before. It wasn't the drinking or the drugs that was getting me there. And then decided to come on down to Nashville and kind of give songwriting a try and just continue to learn. Because I think a lot of the times there's two people that move to Nashville. There's a person that moves here and they're already the guy from their hometown and everybody loves them and they know they're the big king.
Yeah.
And then this person just coming here wanting to learn and knowing that they're coming into a big pond and a big lake, and I'd rather be able to see the fishes up close as opposed to on TV.
Oh, it is here in Nashville. I love Lower Broad. I just went to the Troubadour last night to hear Robert Doc Martin and the Mysterious Cowboys, and I mean I love hearing it all. I mean you're just surrounded by it.
The surprising
every day
nature
of the
is the multitude of artists and genres that play here. Because I think for the longest time everybody thinks it's just country.
That's a big fallacy. There is punk rock, there is rap, there's gospel is huge here, and country. But yeah, that most people think it's just country.
And it's also knowing that country is so different. And its own, like it has multiple genres within it as well. So
it does. It
depends
does.
on where
There's
you are in the
rock
country,
and I don't even know what they call them all. There is, Carrie Underwood country, and it is very varied and different. And then there's those diehards traditional country, which I think they should do the traditional country. We need to know where we come from. I like the roots. Playing the older songs. You can't find that on Lower Broad except like at Robert's Western World. The other places, even I went to Garth Burke's new thing on Lower Broad, and it was all it was no country going on there.
But I think that's what's fun after I've only been in town since late July of last year. So yeah, so it's just being here for as short time as it is. It's nice to know that you can go around to different parts of the city, or different parts of town, or even boroughs around, and there's so many different genres and flavors that you can dip into, and you can go into, like you were talking about, there's folk and there's gypsy, there's rock, there's psychedelic, there's rap, and
let's see, that one group came through here. I wanted to see them in Oregon, it didn't work out. Gogol Bodero, and they're a Russian folk punk group. I love them. The Wanderlust King. I'm going to have to turn you on to them since you're Russian.
You're going to have to send it to me.
I know. And I got there and he just came along like, oh, she's crazy. And I'm just all over the place. I just love their, and you don't think that's going to be here in Nashville, but it's there,
Yeah.
Russian punk folk music. He even had a accordion. So yeah, you're fairly new here then. So I'm glad. And let's see. So you work at Five Spot?
Yes. Yeah. It's in East Nashville. I was lucky enough to actually meeting the owner was kind of a serendipitous moment. I was came and visited about first week of July just to kind of scope out the area. I'd never been to Nashville other than driving through once, and went and started meeting and seeing other bars, and sat down at one bar, and a band that was playing that night kind of poked fun at me for being alone drinking by myself, and they were like, "You look like a musician." I said, "Yeah, I am." And luckily enough, I ended up introducing myself afterwards to them after their set, and the bass player looked at me and asked me if I'd heard of the Five Spot. And I said no, and then he said, "Well, I'm the owner, you should come on down with me." And he walked me in through the back and introduced me to everybody that worked there, and I got along with them well enough. They said, "Well, if you ever decide to move down here, I'll hire you." So it was one of those rare things where,
Whoa.
yeah, I was able to kind of, after that visit, have a place to live and a job immediately once coming here.
Wow.
Just a huge help.
Fate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's a great venue. It's one of those where
Yeah.
you have different artists from all walks of life. They have DJs. They have people from out of the country that come in. They do a bunch of things for like Americana Fest. It's a great spot, and like every day of the week, there's something different there.
Yeah, I know. I used to go to their Motown Mondays.
yeah.
And it's like the TARDIS. Do you know the TARDIS? No, it's a Doctor Who reference show. It's bigger on the inside.
Yes. You have to get there, walk in, and then once you do, you might get lost a couple of times. Yes.
So yeah, that I've been there for a few things, 80s night and stuff. It's a happening. They do swing those. They're like 20 to 30-year-olds, and they're swing dancing like crazy there.
And the best is to see the people that they go there just for the dancing. I mean, there's generally we'll have a few holdouts that will just walk in, they sit down, they've got their spot, where they are, and they sip on their water and they just wait for somebody to spin around, and then they'll jump in and start dancing.
So they ever let you play there, like just?
I've been able to practice there a couple of times.
Yeah. In between things, like I'll just go up and.
Oh no. But it's I've had offer here and there. I just was out of town at the time, but I definitely look forward to playing there. But I mean, a bunch of people that work there do end up playing there. Yeah. Which is always a nice bonus.
I know. That's great. So, I mean, I'm glad things are working out for you, because it doesn't always work out for people when they just kind of move to Nashville. They have a idealized dream of what they're doing, and then there's the reality, and then you got to just mesh the two and make them work. You know?
And that's kind of how I look at it too, is it's, you kind of, come in here, you have like an idea of, I'm just going to, it's the typical, I'm just going to change my location and my whole life's going to change. Yeah. Where, it's, you've opened up different doors of opportunities, but you still need to walk through those doors. And also you need to work on the changes that you need to make for yourself. So that's what I love is like, seeing people that are, just amazingly brilliant on stage, and just their performance and their execution and just how they present to an audience. What they're doing is such a huge lesson to where even at work, and I'm, bartending or bar backing or sweeping or mopping, I'm still hearing, genius around me.
Right.
And I'm able to try to absorb it.
You're in it. Yeah. Now, what kind of music do you play? What's your genres?
I don't know. I'd probably say it's a mixture of like folk, rock, a little bit of blues, a little bit of kind of post-punk, but I don't know. I like to kind of vary into whatever genre I'm feeling at the time. I don't really try to sit down and say I'm going to write this song.
Right. So you're not stuck. You just have the music come out, whatever it is. And now I gotta ask, because I kind of know what all your genres are, but what's post-punk?
I don't know. I honestly don't know either. I think I was looking it up with my family, because I knew for the longest time people keep asking what your genre is, and then they looked it up and they said it's something where it's like you have kind of religious or spiritual overtones in your music, and you're kind of simple. You're not trying to be the Eddie Van Halen of the world, but you've got something that's simple, that's got its groove, and you kind of can go from there. So I mean, I don't know. It's one of those where I'm probably gonna drop the drop set, because if I don't even know what it is, that's probably not a great thing.
I don't know. I think it sounds kind of do post punk.
It makes me sound like it makes me sound very more intriguing than I probably am. Yeah. Which is it's working then. Yeah.
Well, where can people find you? I mean, now what do you want to do? You'll play for people anywhere?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for now it's just playing. I'm trying my hardest to kind of record on my own and release some more stuff. Right now I only have 2 singles that I released that I was working on in Texas as well as in Maryland when I was back home.
And you played at the Commodore?
Yes, played at the Commodore. I frequent the Bowery Vault. They have like a writers round there with a bunch of just top-notch writers and performers. And it's kind of a great master class of seeing the different ins and outs of how to be able to play and write. Okay. Play there a bunch.
So are you looking to be a solo performer? Are you looking to be in a band? Or are you looking to just entertain at private parties? Or what do you have? Or are you not even there yet?
Well, I think it's more, I'm still trying to scope out what my destination is. I mean, I would love to be able to find a band. Just finding a drummer and a bass player, it's hard to be able to find anybody that has time right now in Nashville. So I'm not one to be pushy. It's just kind of, hopefully if things work out, it'll work out. But for right now, it's kind of going by that advice I've heard a lot of people say is the most dependable person you can have in the music business, the music industry, is going to be yourself when you're starting out. So as long as I can make the time and I can show up to gigs and I can play, then I'm
Right.
available. So
And I'm excited that you responded to come to our event that we do here in Gallatin at our spot. And now, oh, so if people do want to get hold of you, what's the best
yes,
way?
sorry.
And you have a stage name. You have,
yes.
and it is a stage name, everybody. Wait till you couldn't guess in a million years his stage name.
Well, it's thank you. It's one of those where it sounds a little pretentious, especially being a solo act with it. That's why I really want to kind of get a band. It would be a lot easier to do this. But the name is Acknowledgement is the name that I go under. Kind of came to me. I was just sitting out on a porch one day, and I was just racking my brain for what should I go, because I just don't like the idea of going under my name. And I decided on just landed on Acknowledgement. And I thought, what's the one thing every band wants or every artist wants is just acknowledgement. It's just, it's just an accolade, a credit towards what they're able to see or put out into the world, or just the fact that people can see you and say, yeah, you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, so it's...
And where can people find you?
And you can find me on Instagram at acknowledgement.music.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find me on YouTube at acknowledgement.music. And on Facebook, you can just find me via Misha Fehrmann, just my name. I have a profile there, and I have Acknowledgement as one of the pages I've created there.
Okay, well, that's great. And now, not only did we have a nice time talking, but we're going to hear a couple songs from you.
Yeah, these are the 2 songs I released. They are both on anything that's streaming. It's called Easier to Say Goodbye and Anymore.
Okay, well, great. Thank you for
your time.
Thank
you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. Okay.
Hi, my name is Misha Fehrmann. This is Easier to Say Goodbye. It's easier to say goodbye. It's hard to walk away. Tonight, it's easier to say goodbye when on the phone. It's hard to walk away when you're here at my door. What's come through to us is only just escape. There's nothing here but rust on a broken, mangled gate. The fears that we've had, they're all coming true. I wrestle my demons, yet they still get to you. It's easier to say goodbye. It's hard to walk away. Tonight, it's easier to say goodbye when on the phone. It's hard to walk away when you're banging on my door. But feeling sad and lonely, it won't ever change with you. I'm getting tired of waiting, 'cause it's all I ever do. I've thrown your signs all over, yet you never seem to grasp that me saying goodbye is a demand, not an ask. Thank you. This next song is called Anymore. We don't talk before sleep anymore. If we did, I don't know what you'd say. You never stopped when you walked out the door. I don't know what I'd do if you did. All my mind and soul was in you. Now I feel them falling apart. It's such a silly thing that we do, leaving with each other's hearts. I know that love can't be a perfect circle, but living in a world that's full of squares, why can't we see the answer simple? Things are sometimes better once they end. perfect circle. We're living in a world that's full of squares. Why can't you see the answer's simple? Things are sometimes better once they end. You never let me run away and come back to you. You'd always have me run in place, just so you won't lose. We never did it, then stayed done. Oh, we just kept doing it. We'd always fight till no one's won. Oh, just refusing it. Make people around us numb. Oh, they were through with it. Hit the bed to sleep it off. Only rinse repeat when we'd wake up. Inside my home, there's nowhere to be alone. I'm always under attack, looking behind my back. I can't take it anymore. No, I won't take this anymore. I know that love can be a perfect circle. We're living in a world that's full of squares. Why can't I see the answer simple? Things are sometimes better once they end.
This episode of Hey Hey Linda Purrs is sponsored by. Come on down to Grandpa's Music at 1033 Park Street in Westmoreland. Live bluegrass, country, and gospel music every Saturday night. Shows start at 6 p.m. and admission is $8. First Fridays we feature karaoke and Grandpa's Music Jam Session 10 to 2 p.m. on the second and fourth Tuesday. New and seasoned musicians are always welcome for music lessons, so bring the whole family. Grandpa's Music at 1033 Park Street in Westmoreland.